Firstly, I'd like to welcome you to this virtual open event. My name is John Oliver. I have the privilege of being principal here at UTC Swindon. We were looking forward very much to welcoming you to some open events, a chance to get you to tour this excellent school site. Obviously, a few things have intervened since we planned all these dates, and as soon as lockdown is stopped, we will then arrange for some events actually on site, because it's really important you get a chance to see what we have to offer. I will talk through quite a bit today, but obviously you need to have a really good understanding of what a UTC education is about, and that will inform any choices you make. A few bits of housekeeping. This event is being recorded. You can see and hear me. You will not be seen or heard, but if you have some questions, you can use the chat and I will answer questions, and hopefully one of my students will be able to answer some questions you might have for her as well at the end. So basically, the idea of this half an hour or so now is to give you a flavour of what a UTC education can provide. We are a school, but UTCs offer something different as well, and by the end of this presentation, I sincerely hope you have a good understanding of what that could be for you or for your child, whether you're starting year 10 or year 12, or you're looking for an application in the coming years. So UTCs are University Technical Colleges, and there are 48 in England. On this slide, you can see the specialist areas that UTCs have. The most popular specialism is engineering, and that does fit with the sort of local and national need for engineering in this country. There's some information I'll share with you a bit later about engineering, but basically they are technical specialisms in areas that we have excelled in as a country, but also where there is real difficulty now in recruiting skilled, experienced young people. And that is what the UTCs have been set up to do. They've been in operation now for 10 years. UTC Swindon, we are midway through, in fact, halfway through now, our 7th year. And we started off in 2014 with engineering as our main specialism. And a couple of years later, we introduced digital technology. The reason for that is because there is a continuing to need for digital experts in a whole range of different disciplines. And we're finding that more of our students now are joining us with digital computing, programming, coding, cybersecurity, sort of aspirations for the future. So looking at engineering, I'm including digital in this. You can see how important it is. These figures are a couple of years out of date now. Obviously, when we get new data, we'll put it in, but basically over a quarter of UK enterprises are engineering based. And you can see some of the particular areas there that actually require skilled engineers to be able to fulfill their purpose. And what is changing as well is that the nature of these jobs is becoming much more highly skilled and demanding. So because of that, companies are finding it very difficult to recruit young people, to replace people leaving the profession, but also into these higher skilled sectors of work. The middle slide at the bottom there's an annual shortfall of about 59,000 skilled graduates every year that the engineering sector cannot recruit into. UTCs, there's about 14,000 young people in UTCs up in England. That will not fill that. However, we are starting to provide thousands of people into this shortfall area. The contribution that engineering makes into the UK economy is huge. And the one bit I like is really the bit at the bottom, that for every engineering new job that's created, it has a value added effect, if you like, of 1.74. So 1 3/4 new jobs are created elsewhere as a result of that one engineering job. So it contributes massively to our economy. With the challenges with COVID, with the economy and with Brexit as well, this situation is, you know, for recruiting into engineering is going to be there for time to come. So what is it about UTC Swindon? Well, if you're thinking about joining us or you've applied already, you need to have an interest in engineering and/or digital technology. And the reason for that is we have a very focused technical core based on areas. However, we do also, certainly in year 10 and 11, there is a core curriculum you need to follow as you would in any traditional secondary school. What is very different though to a traditional school is the focus we have on progression once you leave the college. So through your experiences, through the work you do, through the technical qualifications you gain, you will be guided into going to university, into apprenticeships, into employment. And UTCs up and down the country have a fantastic record in that transition. UTCs have very low dropout rates, students not going on to anything at the end. And the reason for that is because we work very closely with employers. Students develop confidence, experiences that make them very marketable in an increasing difficult employment situation. The opportunities for young people are much reduced as a result of the impact of COVID and Brexit on the economy. Our facilities support the technical aspect of our learning. We've got 3 different sections here. We've got the top left there, that is our sixth form cyber suite. That was in collaboration with our partners Fujitsu. Top right, we have our brand new, well, it's new in September, our business and esports room. And that is where some year 12 students who have selected business with esports do part of their course. We managed to secure £20,000 as part of a fund to support introducing that. So we're really pleased to offer that to year 12s. And from September, that will be an option subject for year 10s as well. And then at the bottom is our main workshop. And if you haven't visited us before, we are actually on the site of Swindon Railway Works. We're opposite the Steam Museum, and there's obviously rich heritage in the buildings, in the whole area, and we were set up to incorporate the heritage side of things along with the sort of new technological as well. So the equipment, facilities we have is excellent, allows students to develop industry skills that will stand them in good stead when it goes to an apprenticeship or into employment. Moving on. Got a bit of a freeze on this slide, excuse me for a minute while we just get this sorted. Okay, so in terms of our students, the most important measure, I would argue, for a school is what students do when they leave. You can see here, this actually is more up-to-date information. So I'm going to focus on a couple of things. I'm going to focus on apprenticeships, as well as the abbreviation that says NEET. So if you look nationally, apprenticeship leavers, there's some historic data there for the national and also UTC across England figures. 7% of students nationally after finishing sixth form studies go on to apprenticeships. That compares to 13% of UTC Swindon, UTC students across the country. There's a big drop there from the previous year when it was 22%. That's largely to do with the impact of COVID on the economy and issues to do with Brexit. However, despite that, 40% of our students from Swindon went on to apprenticeships after their sixth form studies. That was 25% down on the previous year, again, for the reasons I've just mentioned. But 7% compared to 40%, that is a huge difference. And the reason for that is because UTCs are set up for young people to move into apprenticeships, particularly. We are getting increasing numbers of students going into university education after their time with us, but actually most of our young people want to go into apprenticeships. I think not having a university presence in the Swindon area and in Wiltshire does have that sort of impact or negative impact on university applications. But having a sixth form education with us will still give you full access to a university if that's what you wish. And the bottom here, this figure NEET means not in education, employment or training. Nationally, 8% of young people finish their school education and go on to nothing. This was 2019 data, so I think probably it'll be even higher this year. Compared to 3% of UTC students across the country. And I'm proud to say again at UTC Swindon, 0. Every single year 13 student went on to university, apprenticeships or employment. We had a couple who have taken a gap year this year, but actually shows again the success we have in placing our students into apprenticeships. This is UTC information across different sectors across the country. And you can see the most common area there is engineering and manufacturing still, but a wide range of different engineering sectors, with technology growing as well. Here are some destinations for our students who left over the last couple of years. You can see some of the universities they've gone to study STEM-based degrees, and you can see some companies here that students have gone on to start apprenticeships with. And the list of partners, apprenticeship providers we are working with grows year on year. One of the really important things that we sell during our time here to students is you need to be the sort of person that an employer wants. And on this slide here are some of the things we really work hard on trying to instill in our young people. But actually, by coming to UTC Swindon, hopefully you have a lot of these things anyway. That can-do positive attitude. And a lot of these things are really important regardless of what you go into, not just STEM. You may or may not be aware that this is National Apprenticeship Week. And so all of our students have been given access to a range of national activities that are going on. These are really important, even if students are not thinking about going into an apprenticeship. Something for sixth form students to consider is the degree apprenticeships, where a company will sponsor a student for their degree, in other words, pay for their college, university fees, and guarantee them apprenticeship at the end. Many of those, but they are growing. So again, we are always looking at ways to promote opportunities for our students to have more information, to make an informed choice what they do when they finish with us. Any school needs to, and college needs to operate, and organisation as well actually, in terms of what their core purpose and values are. And these 4 values here, we developed about a couple of years ago, working with students, with governors. We thought these are really important for us to underpin the way that we work, and we call them our ROC values. It's all about being respectful to each other, irrespective of whether you get on with someone. It's actually about how you work with them in a respectful way. Having disagreement actually is not a bad thing, but it's how you manage that, listening to other people's views. That helps increase diversity, tolerance for other people's backgrounds, their views. And so that is a really important value for us. Being organised, this really does link in with our purpose of preparing young people for the world of work, coming to school with the right equipment, being prepared to work to learn. Our students are working really well at the moment during lockdown on the live lessons and remote learning that we're setting. It's that product really important. And whilst we're still at school and we have a wide range of students academically and different social backgrounds as well, actually what we want to make sure is that every student when they leave is going to be productive in the workplace, contribute to society, to the turnaround of the impact of COVID and Brexit as well. And about being constructive too. That's linking it again with the productivity. So making sure that you make use of your time, that you are doing things that actually help support your learning. lifelong process. And finally, and I think probably the most important one, is about being kind. And this impacts on us in every aspect of our life. And being kind doesn't cost anything. How we interact with others, things that we do, things that we say are really important in terms of how we value each other. And really that underpins every other aspect of our core values. UTC Swindon is part of the Activate Learning Education Trust. And you can see at the bottom, we are one of the schools. There are 4 UTCs moving along the M4 corridor, starting at Heathrow, then Reading, then Oxfordshire at Didcot, then ourselves. And there are also schools, Bicester School and Thiel Green School, and then Bicester Technology Studio. So we are largely UTC focused, but also benefiting from working with 2 really good comprehensive schools as well. And basically working as part of this group has allowed us to work more effectively. We have the same mission and same vision about transforming lives through learning. And working as part of a bigger group certainly allows us to be more efficient, more effective, to challenge each other, and to provide even better opportunities for our young people. And the most important thing really is our community thriving so that we can actually make, or our young people can continue to develop and move into the next stage of their careers, and for staff as well. This diagram is in our prospectus. You can't see it too clearly now, but just shows you the subjects that we offer. Starting in year 10, we have our academic core. This is what any traditional school will offer. We offer English language and literature. All students follow these courses. The same in mathematics, and biology, chemistry and physics are taught as separate subjects. It's an entitlement for every year 10 and 11 student. So it's not just for those who are more able, if you like, and it really sits with our STEM focus. Then we've got our technical core. So these again are subjects that every year 10 and year 11 student will study. There are 2 engineering qualifications equivalent to GCSE. One will be completed during year 10, currently the manufacturing certificate, and one completed in year 11. And then alongside that, during both year 10 and year 11, students study the Creative iMedia certificate. So you will receive, students joining us in year 10, you will receive a range of GCSE core subjects along with a very specialist equivalent technical range of subjects as well. And then it's choosing a specialist option. We have computer science GCSE. Again, not every school can offer that. We also have the systems control engineering qualification, and a new one we're offering this year, I mentioned earlier, which is business and esports. On the application process, students, once they've had their meetings and interviews with us, can select the subject they wish to take. And also, in addition to that, the sort of more personal development side of our young people through personal professional development. This is like our sort of PSHE program, focused largely on employability skills, but also on wider personal aspects that all schools need to follow in terms of citizenship and other key topics. We have a physical training team who deliver PE, if you like, to our students, which is based on fitness, health, not your traditional PE program. And then all students, all being well, our current year 10s will be able to get out during this academic year to do 2 weeks of work experience in the summer. And that is something not every school offers. And then looking at sixth form. Now, in the sixth form, we only offer level 3 courses. That's the equivalent to A-level. And like any school or FE college, there are conditions on entry for that. So our technical pathway, you can study a course based on engineering solely, digital technology solely, or you could combine. Or you could combine a technical course with an A-level subject. You'll notice we've got a much narrower range of A-level subjects compared to a school or FE college. That is because it's much more focused, with the exception of English language literature, it is focused much more on our STEM specialisms. So students can pick a technical route, they could pick an A-level route on its own, or they could combine. And then there is the work experience and personal development, as there is with the Key Stage 4 curriculum. And the arrows at the end leading out into where students go after their time with us. There are still apprenticeships for students at the end of year 11. They are fewer and far apart than they used to be on the impact of, well, COVID, Brexit, but also the upskilling, and more employers now are looking for apprentices with a higher level of technical skill before they take them on. We will go through this in much more detail when we have our meeting with you. So I've talked about work experience. The sixth form students do their work experience this time of year, generally in January. Obviously haven't been able to do that as yet, so we've transferred it to the summer, when all things are much more open, and to have those 2 weeks in the start of the spring term. But we also offer some professional qualifications that aren't exam-based as in a traditional way. We offer the Microsoft Technology Associate suite of qualifications, industry recognised, and they are excellent qualifications for our sixth form students to buy into. It doesn't cost them anything, but actually makes their CVs really even more marketable than they might have been. So they're a good range of qualifications our students can access. Enrichment, well, we work a slightly longer working day, so clubs and activities we have a very limited range of. However, we do, through the ability to drop our curriculum for a day and have an enrichment activity, working with employers. You can see some of our ex-year 13 students with the REME at MOD Lynham there, and they, as part of their engineering course, had to take part in a project where they are trying to solve real life problems that the Army face in terms of engineering. And then we've got our year 10s, the left there, that's at HMS Sultan in Gosport, where they're involved in the Royal Navy Challenge competition. Unfortunately, that's been cancelled due to COVID last year, but a real opportunity for them to, again, put their engineering skills into practice. And a couple of other things there. We've got our Kit Car Club at the bottom, and also students involved in the Royal International Air Tattoo competition. We are part of the UTC Cyber Group. There's 15 UTCs working with these key organisations in helping provide opportunities, understanding of careers in cybersecurity. This is a massively important and growing sector. The instances of companies being hacked and individuals in their personal lives having their security information hacked by unscrupulous people out there is growing, and therefore this career sector is going to grow and grow. And again, there is a real shortage of people with the skills, with the knowledge, with the understanding to go into these careers. So actually being part of the cyber group is huge for country, but also meets the needs and demands of a lot of our students as well. Some of our partners we've worked with through the pipeline program, which has been decimated a bit with opportunities due to lockdown, but we've had students working with some of these employers virtually. We've restarted the Intel program with our year 10s. They had an activity today, I believe. And we've also worked with some of these other major employers. And the idea of that is to actually prepare people for working in these sort of sectors, not necessarily with these organisations, although they are struggling to recruit skilled young people as well. Right, now I've said quite a lot. Hopefully you'll get a good idea now of what it's like from a student point of view. I'd like to welcome Tamsin Baker, who is one of our year 12 students. She joined us in year 10, 2 and a bit years ago. She's experienced 2 lockdowns at the college, basically, when you have the opportunity to come on site, you'll be able to talk to students, probably Tamsin, but certainly students like Tamsin, although there's no one like Tamsin, but to actually ask them what actually a UTC education is about, because students are our best ambassadors. So welcome, Tamsin. I think all the links work. Good to see you. What made you decide to join UTC Swindon?
So I've always loved engineering, and one of my friends had said about a UTC. So I went for a tour here, and I knew that I had to leave my old school because I was too obsessed with this place. I loved it. And then being here, I have loved it even more.
Great, and that comes across too as well, which is really good. I think a lot of young people may feel anxious about changing school at the end of year 9 or after their year 11 school placements, but actually being a small school, has that sort of helped you settle in, Tamsin?
Yeah, when I first joined, it only took me a few weeks because it was so small and welcoming that you don't really feel like an outsider. Everyone's there for different reasons, but also the same reason. Because it's not exactly like, oh yeah, I'm here to study this thing or this. Like, we're all here for mostly the same reasons, whether that's IT or engineering.
Brilliant answer. Yes. So one thing you need to be aware of is more focused on that technical offer, and there's a much more shared interest in our students and staff in terms of the technical specialisms we have. And what have you been able to do here that you couldn't do at your last school, Tamsin?
So far, I have received an engineering education, which I'm currently continuing. And I've also been able to take part in lots of activities such as Fantastic Futures, and I've had different employer interactions. And so I've really expanded my knowledge of different companies.
Yeah, that's a really important part of the work. And I told you a few slides back, that's what UTCs do. And actually hearing it from a current student is really important. What's been the best thing that you've done so far?
It's hard to decide which thing has been the best thing because there are so many. So I normally say I've made new friends, I've solidified my love for engineering, and it's just been the best few years.
Even with lockdown?
Yeah, even with lockdown.
Obviously, it's a difficult time for all young people at the moment, but it's really important they carry on with their learning. So well done. And what about the experience being different to your previous school?
So at UTC, it's more of a workplace environment. So you don't feel like anyone's above anyone else. So as much as you are our principal, you still respect us the same as you respect the rest of your staff. So it's not like we're the students, you're the teachers, you're going to act that way. It's like we're all on the same level. They do still teach us, but we don't have to feel inferior. We all feel similar. So as much as it's different, we've made the choice. We have also made the choices to come into this school. It's not like we've been told you're going to that school because you have no other choice. We've decided to change. So most of us feel like as much as it is different, being here helps us rather than hinders us.
Great, yeah. Tamsin's done this now, and it's really interesting hearing her responses because she says something different each time, which is great. So you're chair of the student board. Congratulations, just been appointed. What role does a student board play, and what are you hoping to achieve?
So we are basically the connection between all the students. So from everyone from year 11 to year 12 to 13. So we connect everyone. We don't single anyone out. And at the moment, we are together to help with ideas. We will run even while we're in lockdown.
I think you sort of cracked up a little bit there, but got the idea there. And one of the things the student board did, and students did generally during the first lockdown, was put together a recruiting video, which they did all from their own homes. And they edited it all together, and that was really good in terms of promoting what we're about, which is great. Okay, what about your career then? Well, I know that you've had your heart set on BMW for a while, but what are you thinking at the moment?
Whenever I get asked this question, I never know how to answer. As nothing's the same, so I constantly have to change my mind. But BMW is a big idea for me. So hopefully I will get some form of mechanical engineering job or something to work with my hands.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for your time there, Tamsin. I think you'll be able to help out with the questions and answers a bit later, and we'll direct that as we move on to that. So it's really important. If we were in the hall now, you'd get, and well deserved. Obviously, teachers, when they deliver open days and things don't, and we don't deserve, but certainly Tamsin does, and Tamsin does reflect the sort of nature of students we have, who come from a wide range of, as I mentioned before, and what is really important is they have that opportunity to thrive. And Tamsin talked about that sort of equality. Obviously, there's times when staff in school have to make decisions and take actions that young people don't always, might be to do with young people not always making the right choices. Some of the things with sixth form is getting them not to bring McDonald's into school, for example, which is one of those things that we're constantly battling with. But in terms of how we operate, it's more like a workplace, as Tamsin's alluded to. And do you want to say anything, Tamsin, about, I'll put this on the thing I was going to ask you, but so what about uniform? How does that work for you?
Uniform varies. So I can wear, as long as it's business wear, I have the freedom of colour, style, anything.
Good. Put you on the spot there with that. We weren't expecting that. But yes, so basically we don't have a set uniform, but it is business, or I like to call it boardroom wear. Boardroom where I'm at the moment, actually, and you've got an interview with Alan Sugar. How would you look? Actually, I should have a tie on, but I'm slightly in lockdown mode at the moment. Okay, thanks for that, Tamsin. No more fast balls for you there, but maybe we'll have some questions for you a bit later. So in terms of application, now this is really straightforward now. On our website, we have a link to a platform, Admissions Plus, which you need to register for. We'll then send you a code, and you can then apply, and everything is stored remotely online, which is great. In terms of areas where you can apply from, well, until we are full, which we're not quite yet, you can actually apply from outside of the radius as shown here. Once we do get full, obviously there is a process to do with postcodes and other particular needs that students may have. However, we've not been full up to this point, but if you are thinking of applying, I would recommend that you apply very quickly so that we can have the meetings, because in the next few weeks, I'm going to have to put our curriculum plan in place, which obviously impacts on the staffing levels we have. And if we have a sudden flood of people wanting to join us in May, June, July, and we haven't got the staff to teach those groups, then we will not be able to offer places to those students. So get an application in now. It does not commit you to having to join us. Hopefully you'd want to join us, but what we will be doing over the coming months is, once lockdown ends, we will have an open day or a few open days on Saturdays. Students who've applied will invite you in to have a go at some taster activities. Those who haven't applied, it'll be a chance for you to speak to students, current students like Tamsin and others who give up their Saturday mornings to show you round with great pride our college. You'll be able to speak to staff. You will have to, well, you won't have to actually, having gone through this once, but I will do a talk and a presentation along the lines of what you've just heard today. We also will be offering or providing 2 taster days, which we couldn't last year because of COVID lockdown. 2 taster days in July for year 10 students. They are really important because you'll get a really good feel for what the college is about. That usually happens when year 10s are out on work experience, so you haven't got to worry about them being in college. It'll be your college, you'll be in there, some sixth form students may be in, but actually it's a really good way for you to get to feel what the college is about and that real ownership of, yeah, this is my school. We will keep in touch once you've accepted a place and update you with information, newsletters, course requirements, those sort of things. And then if you're looking to join year 12, once you leave, whenever that is, we will provide some drop-in sessions for you to come and have a go at some activities in engineering and or digital technology as well. The key thing for year 11 students is once you get your results, then that's actually the time you need to make your final decisions. But by accepting a place, you can withdraw at any point. You are your current school student until next academic year. But obviously, if you have put an application in, we'd be really delighted if this is right for you to proceed with your application and accept an offer. Okay, well, I've talked for half an hour or so, so I'm very glad to hold the open the floor now to any questions you might have. If we're not able to answer any questions now, we will get back to you and provide a sort of question and answer sheet and add that to our website and hopefully email it out to you as well. Right, so we've got Stacey, who is our marketing lead across the trust. So Stacey, any questions for us?
Yeah, we've had loads that have come in. So the first one is there a place to put your bike?
We have bike racks, and I've just actually applied for additional ones through some funds that Swindon Borough Council are having. The vast majority of our students do come on buses, but I think there is more of an anxiety at the moment with, you know, COVID situation. That will pass, it will move, but on bus routes. But yes, we do have bike racks on site.
How long is the lunch break?
30 minutes. So we don't have any outdoor space. Most students use that time to have their lunch, to chat. A lot of them are on their phones, catching up with various bits and pieces. So the reason we don't have a longer lunch is because we don't have any outdoor space for students to run around and let off steam. So we have a 20-minute break in the morning. We do provide breakfast for students that want to buy that from 8 o'clock on a weekday, or Monday to Friday. Break is at 10:30, and then lunch break is at 12:50.
A question that's just come in again about timings. What time do lessons start? They'll be coming in on a Chippenham train.
Okay, we do have some students who come from some distance, and sometimes trains do provide punctuality problems. We don't punish students for that. We start lessons at 8:30, not a tutor period, it's straight into lesson 1. We have 6 60-minute lessons in a day, which means that we have 5 hours of lessons more per week than students with school. And that equates to 1 full day extra. So I think it provides a longer working week, but actually more like the workplace.
Okay, there's a couple around admissions. When will the offers of places be sent, and when is the deadline for applications, which I know you on the previous slide you said really get it in as soon as possible?
Okay, so basically 31st of December is usually the deadline. With lockdown, we extended that to the 31st of January, which has passed. As I said earlier, we are still taking applications. So if you are thinking about applying, I would get your application in as soon as possible, because once we've reached a point in 2 or 3 weeks' time, I need to make plans for our curriculum.
What equipment will students need?
We will send out information detail later in the probably early summer term, but basically working for engineering in the workshop, you'll need overalls and reinforced toe boots. Obviously the business or boardroom wear that Tamsin talked about, I like to call it, which is other personal equipment. We do recommend that students have their own laptops, tablets, devices to support their learning. It's not compulsory, but increasingly, as we're working more, we use Office 365 as our platform to store work. That makes things much more mobile. So that is something that we would recommend as well.
A curriculum question here. So in the specialist category, can you do computer science and business and esports?
Okay, the business is business and esports. That's one qualification. But no, we only have a slot for 3 hours a week. So it's one of those subjects. So if you are applying for those, I would select your number 1 choice first, and then your number 2 choice as the second.
What extracurricular activities can the students take part in?
Well, you saw some pictures there of some of the activities we've done with some of the Royal Navy Challenge is an extracurricular activity that students went down and spent 2 days down in Gosport during the working week, not last year, but the year before. Because we finished later than most schools, and the general idea is that students finish with us and then go on to their own activities. We don't set homework, for example. However, we do have an engineering club, which we offer to year 10 students, predominantly for the kit car club. And that will start again once we come back. That will be available on Thursday evenings. The reason we don't set homework is because of the extra time we have in school. And also, like the world of work, generally anyway, when you finish with us, your time is your own, and we have students who sports clubs, members of cadet forces, do their own activities. So that's why we don't have a massive extracurricular provision at all.
If we start one specialist category and decide it's not for us, can we change halfway through?
I guess you're thinking about sixth form. In year 10 and 11, all students will have a mixture of engineering and digital. Whether you choose 2 engineering and 2 digital, or 3 engineering and 1 digital, that will be through the options process that someone asked previously. The problem with changing the course you're doing after a certain time, say after about 6 weeks, is you will have missed a lot of time. So that's why it's important during this process now of transfer, if you like, of actually finding out as much as you can about the courses, have a go at the taster days, and if you wish to change your mind at that point, that's not a problem. But once we get to about October half term, it really is too late to be changing courses. We have had students who've changed from systems control engineering to computer science, or the other way around. That's not a problem as long as there's space and it's not too late in the year.
We've got a student here who's interested in esports, and they just want to know where to get more information about that.
Yeah, I can understand as well. It's a new course that's being provided at level 2 to join with a level 3 offer. We will send information out about that before Easter. We're just confirming now in terms of the units and things we're going to be teaching. So we'll have a link to that. It's not all about gaming, although there is obviously a massive amount of interest in esports globally. It's a huge area. I read somewhere that more people engage and take part, compete if you like, in esports than they do in traditional sports. And it's very lucrative to elite people as well. So we'll provide information about all our courses later in the spring term.
I may be joining alone. Do you have many students who join without knowing anyone else? And I guess Tamsin kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, didn't she?
Yes, I'll start and then maybe Tamsin can add to it in a minute. Some students who are homeschooled, some who've come from schools where there are no other students from their school that arrive. You will feel anxious the first time you walk into the building. It's like going into a new place of work. I promise you, you will settle in quickly. We have 170 students currently, possibly about 200 in September. That is smaller than a year group in most schools. So you will much quicker. That's staff and students. Also, because there's much more of a, and again, Tamsin mentioned this, there's much more of a technical specialist focus. You've got much more in common with other students as well. Tamsin, do you want to add anything?
I think you covered it, but most people come in solo anyway. So as much as it does feel like there is one group of people that may know each other, most of us come in solo or with one other person. So we all get along quite well.
Great. Stacey, any more?
Got quite a few more. Yes. Do you support, is there support for children with special educational needs?
Yes, as with any school, we do have a special needs coordinator. One of the parts of the process, one of the questions myself and one of my colleagues will ask you, or your parent, is, do you have any special educational needs? Because we then will work with you to see what we can do to help support your transfer. We are fully comprehensive, so we've got a whole range of students academically, in terms of learning needs as well. And we do provide support for students, particularly those on an educational healthcare plan, but also we have other interventions and support for students who may have previously undiagnosed or recognised learning conditions.
On the professional qualifications you mentioned earlier on, so the question is, are they free and can they be done during school time?
Really quick, yes and yeah. We do encourage, I'll expand on this a bit, we do encourage our sixth form students who do those to do those in their study periods. They haven't got lessons all 30 hours of the week, and as time does need to be spent by sixth form students, wherever you are, whether it's here or somewhere else, working on preparation, follow-up work, and these qualifications too.
Do you have any students that have joined the employers that you work with after finishing at the UTC?
Lots. For the employers I showed on the slide, indicate some of them. We haven't had any go to Wiltshire Police as yet. The students working with them were working with their cybersecurity team on live projects, not projects, live activities, live cases. They extended and offered them more placement opportunities. 2 of those students have gone to, 3 of those students have gone to university, so it might be something in the future. But yes, and the reason why employers want to work with UTCs up and down England is because they understand that UTCs do provide the experiences and the qualifications and the opportunities for the young people to have skills that they want when they start work. We have had an example of a student who left us 3 years ago from year 11. He got an apprenticeship at Rolls-Royce. He did apply for our sixth form, unfortunately for us, but great for him. He got an apprenticeship with Rolls-Royce, and there were something like 10,000+ people who went apprenticeship at the age of 16. So again, Rolls-Royce offered that to him, or offered him an interview because they, oh yeah, he goes to a UTC. That's a foot in the door. You've still got to sell yourself. You've still got to get the grades, but actually it does provide great opportunities.
Okay, I've got a couple more. So how have you adapted to remote learning?
Really well. Tamsin's going to answer something in a minute, put her on the spot. During lockdown 1, we knew weeks before it actually happened, from about this time last year, there were obviously things in the air that were going on. We made sure students got prepared. Microsoft Teams. We had a range of live lessons and remote lessons that were set during lockdown 1. And talking to our current year 10 students, a lot of year 9 in their previous schools were, when I was asking them what they were doing, they were saying, well, we didn't have an awful lot. We had some stuff that was set for 3 or 4 weeks, and that was about it. We had some that had really good provision. But so we were able to use the sort of technology we've got to actually upskill ourselves, that's including staff as well, in terms of providing learning for our young people. And it's made us more resilient. And one of the things we're going to move to is actually online academic review meetings or parents, because actually it's much more efficient. And actually it's about embracing that. And as a country, we've had to do that. And I'm really proud to say, as a UTC, we, along with the other schools in our trust as well, were really well prepared for that and provided a really good offer and learning experience for our young people. Tamsin, anything to add?
I don't think there's much to add because you've covered most of it, but I think pretty much all of my lessons are live. So we log in the morning, we do our lessons, and then any additional assignment support we need, we can message the teachers up until like most hours of the night if we need to. And then they just talk us through anything we're struggling with. And say I had an issue on one of my assignments the other week, my teacher did a extra bit in the lesson about it.
Amazing. I'm trying to encourage a work-life balance with my colleagues. So hearing about them working all hours, but that shows the commitment that staff do have. And yeah, we adapted and we continue to do so. And the live lessons, I think, are working really well. And while students might not put their screens on, I've encouraged staff, wanted staff to have their screens on so that students can see their faces, and that sort of that engagement and link to work is much more obvious then. Okay,
the last couple of questions are about tours and wanting to come in and see their facilities. Any indication on when they might be able to do that, which is a hard question.
Well, I understand that the Prime Minister is going to outline his roadmap to reopening the country and schools on the 22nd of May. That may well slip. We will get you in, either in small groups or individually as families, as soon as we possibly can, up until the end of the last lockdown we had. Group Wednesday evening, meet the principal tours. We're now doing that virtually on a Wednesday, which is nowhere near as good. But on an open day, we'll have planned for Saturdays. Once we reopen, we will get you in. And the one we did in October, we had smaller groups of people coming. We normally have up to about 150 plus. We had to obviously limit that to smaller timescales. So we'll need to respond to what the guidelines are. Clearly at the moment we can't have that, but we have got the virtual tours, but we will have on-site tours as soon as we possibly can. Don't let that stop you from putting an application in, because even if you accept it, come in and think, oh, this isn't for me, then you can decline your place. So I'd encourage you to apply and accept the offer. And when you can actually come on site, because there will be when, not if, then you'll be able to see what we're about.
Perfect. That's all the questions that have come through. Thank you.
Right, well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time this evening. I have given a lot of information out there. I do not expect you to remember it all, to watch the recording of this again. If you're struggling sleeping, for example, then by all means do so. But if you have any further questions, please do contact us. We will invite you in as soon as we possibly can. As I said about a minute ago, please do follow up, put an application in. We will then follow up and meet with you virtually to start. In due course, when lockdown ends, we will invite you in, either in small groups or in a larger gathering, depending on what the situation is, and you'll get a good understanding for what we are about. Have a great half-term, students, next week. Hopefully you're not being expected to work. Keep yourselves safe. Just one last thing from me, really. I joined this place 7 years ago, or 6.5 years ago, not as principal, but I wanted to join here because it offered what I thought is what schools do not offer. Schools are not set up to bridge school and workplace. UTCs have been. And the fact that we've yet to have a student drop out and do nothing, really is testament to the great work that we do with our employers. But actually, it's about our young people, and they leave here. Even those who may not have engaged quite as much as we want them to, they have picked up skills and experiences that make them very marketable for that next stage in their career, and we will continue to do so. So thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the not too distant future. Take care. Good night.